Eating late is a no-no. Having tons and tons and tons of coffee and then just trying to go to sleep, that doesn't make sense either. Make your bedroom and your bed specifically a sacred place for sleep, which means, and I think COVID messed this up for a lot of us, where we just are in our beds and our bedrooms became everything, our office, our gym. Welcome to the Pastor's Lounge. I'm Sheri, your unapologetically Christian therapist. Here we talk about all things mental health and wellness from a biblical perspective. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Who loves sleep? I do. You know why I love it so much? Because we have toddlers, and I feel like I mention them probably every video because somehow it's always relevant. But sleep is so important, and people really underestimate how much it plays into our mental health, our well-being, our physical health, and we're just going to unpack some of that today. And I won't make it too complex. One, because I'm not a sleep specialist. Let's be very clear. I am a therapist. I work holistically with people. I primarily look at mental health and emotional well-being, but believe it or not, I spend more time than I ever thought I would coming into this field talking to people about their sleep hygiene. So we are just going to assess what's going on with those Z's or lack thereof and how that could be impacting your overall well-being. So let's just cut to the chase. What typically gets in the way of really having quality rest? Well, one, we got this right here, the reminder, coffee, lots of caffeine. Who's a caffeine fan? Guilty. I have at least one iced coffee a day. But guess what? It is really important to be paying attention to your nutrition when caffeine is being introduced, when you're eating, that you're moving. All of these things work in harmony or can be working against you in robbing you of rest. So let's try to break this down into segments. First, as I mentioned first, what's going into your body? Are you eating in a way that is nourishing you sufficiently and then is allowing there to be some good digestion before you get in bed? So eating late is a no-no. Having tons and tons and tons of coffee and then just trying to go to sleep, that doesn't make sense either, right? So trying to time when you eat is really important, and what you're putting in your body, that it's quality and not going to make you sick and give you indigestion and weird dreams, right? That's valuable. I'm a therapist, as we know, so let's look at the mental and emotional side of sleep. Are you going to bed with a ton of stress, a lot of thoughts about your day? Is that when you try to do all of your party planning and your organizing and your decompressing and, okay, let me do my checklist here. Let me try to process that argument that I had. Let me try to figure out my planning for tomorrow. What you want to do is make your bedroom and your bed specifically a sacred place for sleep, which means, and I think COVID messed this up for a lot of us, where we just are in our beds and our bedrooms became everything, our office, our gym, our actual sleep place, but also where we studied, right? So a lot that was meant to be done in separate spaces of our home got locked into bedrooms. And so now the bed itself and kind of your mind gets confused. Like, are we sleeping? Are we studying? Are we problem solving? Are we going to process the entire day right now? Right. So we have to get back to the basics and give our beds one purpose: rest. Right. So try to move all of your other activities to somewhere else so that by the time you're getting ready for sleep, your brain is recognizing, oh, we're shutting down now. So when you want to kind of cleanse your emotional palette, take some time, sit in your living room or a different space, journal a little bit, write out your thoughts for the day, make it part of your routine, which is essentially what I'm suggesting is there needs to be a routine, something that you are systematically setting your mind up for, that it knows, oh, once I feel these things start to go into play, it's shutdown mode. But a lot of us don't have that. We don't have any routines around our rest, or our routines are really unhealthy and counterproductive, like this at 3 a.m. No screens, not introducing a whole bunch of extra distractions and noise and the blue screen and the light in your eyes and all the information. And that's when you want to scroll and see what's going on with everyone. Not the right time. You're revving your engines in your rest space and you're causing confusion in your body. So let's review. Let's be mindful of how you're eating, when you're eating, watch the caffeine late at night. Let's make sure that you are cleansing your emotional and your mental palate and unpacking that prior to getting into bed so that you don't feel like once you sit down, that's when everything has to be processed. You want to give that its own time. It's important to have some movement. So whether you want to do a stretching routine or if you're one to try to do a bit of a workout earlier in the afternoon or into the evening, just expend the rest of your energy so you can be tired for bed. You want to make sure that you set the atmosphere. Some people are really into having the nice aesthetics around you, having really good scent or a candle or some music going or some essential oils or things just to relax you and calm you. Doing a crossword puzzle, reading a book with pages, not on your phone, right? Having something that settles you down but is not going to overstimulate you is really important. All of this contributes to your resting well and restoring that sleep and that balance. So let's pretend that you have done all of that. You have established a good routine, but sleep still eludes you. Well, remember, this is a habit that you're forming. If you have spent a majority of your life always revved engines, never really resting, you have the type of work or hours that really don't allow for just traditional sleep hours, that's a lot you're dealing with. Your circadian rhythm could be off. It's important to just take a look at all of these factors, but are you being consistent with what is healthy for you? You can't just do it for 2 weeks and say, well, my sleep isn't better. What's wrong? Keep doing the right thing. Keep easing yourself into your rest. Now, for the revved engine, those who are getting into bed, and that is when your mind decides to replay every detail of your last month and everything that stresses you out. I've given some suggestions to clients to make a little jar. I mean, this seems silly, but don't knock it, right? Don't knock it because it sounds really, kind of kiddish, right? It could be these little things that really end up being the most successful. Get a little jar and write down on some Post-its what your concerns are, your prayers, the things that are trying to keep you up and rob you of your peace, and stick them in that jar and say, Lord, this is my physical way of kind of showing and demonstrating I'm giving this to you. I'm separating it from myself. Get it out, right? If it's coming up in your heart and your mind, it's because there's a concern on the inside. Your mind is literally trying to just reconcile. Okay, can we put a period on this? It feels too open-ended, right? Write it down. Give it to the Lord. Pray and hand him your worries and your concerns and your anxieties and make that a part of how you just decompress and release it, and then let yourself start to sleep. Listening to the word, putting the word of God on. We all have the apps and the things. You don't have to look at it. Just listen and let it just be playing. You can have some headphones in, have some worship on. There's something really powerful about inviting the presence of God through song and letting that just soothe you and ease your mind. Some people like to drink some tea, some herbal teas, just to, again, start to settle their minds and their bodies before they rest. So many ways that you can start to be thinking about, how do I improve my sleep? I have some clients who have been surprised at how quickly their peace is restored when they just stop watching the news before bed. And they were shocked at how quick they started to experience a change, when I was like, well, why would you expect to be completely relaxed when you spent the last hour or two just watching everything awful that's going on in the world, filling your mind with all of these things to bring you concern and frustration and agony, and then, okay, well, thanks for all that, and now, right? No, you have introduced all of this energy of worry, and you've changed the atmosphere in your room. And you brought in all of this media and this information that you can't do anything with, and your mind is completely concerned. What do you do first? Turn all of it off before you enter your bedroom. Shut the screens and switch to music. Switch to reading something uplifting, not terrifying, ideally, right? And start to settle yourself down. Separate yourself from your worries. Recognize what is within your control and what isn't, what can be resolved in a couple of thoughts, and what truly needs rest to resolve. I have gone to bed more times than I can count with a few concerns or thoughts or just things I need to follow up on right before I go to sleep. And I realize I'm too tired to problem solve this. I don't have it. I go to sleep. I pray about it. I just let myself knock out. The next morning, I have clarity. The next morning, I'm like, oh, that's how I can approach that. Who knew how therapeutic and helpful it is to just give your mind a shutdown period so that answers can come to you after you've been replenished with rest. So stop avoiding sleep. Stop trying to find ways to distract yourself. Let yourself ease into your sleep. Now, of course, I'm going to say this. If you try all of this and things keep recurring, you can't find yourself a way to settle down, your mind really keeps racing and going back to certain themes that are really alarming, concerning, uncomfortable, traumatic, you already know. Fill in the blank. What am I going to say? Make a therapy appointment. Make the time to figure out what keeps coming up in my spirit that is robbing me of my peace that I clearly need to resolve or process so that I can get back to my bedroom being a place of peace. So there are so many scriptures that talk about the power of rest and that the Lord gives us sweet sleep. It is one of his gifts to us that we rest. So if you're not experiencing that, it's time to not just shrug that off as something you just have to be used to and tolerate. Let's get some solutions. Let's make some changes in your habits, in your diet, exercise, rest, in your routines. But also, if there are things that are emotionally causing you disturbance that you can't rest, then let's find room to get that addressed as well so that you can get back to sleeping like a baby, waking up in the morning feeling good, your energy where it needs to be, so you can go ahead and accomplish all that God has put in your heart to do that next day, full of vigor, full of rest, ready to go, ready to make a difference. It matters. Let's get our sleep back under control. I hope this has encouraged you, motivated you. Maybe you're watching this before you go to bed and you're getting a little sleepy now. I'm so glad. Mission accomplished then. But all right, and then we're done. No more screens. If this has been helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, I pray that you prosper and you are in great health, even and especially as your soul prospers.